back. You're still watching Daybreak here on Rise News, and it's that time we do a press preview of the papers. First, look at what's on the front pages, and we start, as usual, with our sister publication, the State newspaper. On its front page, Buhari, overconfidence, bad tactical moves killed opposition at polls, with some writers says APC blended confidence with caution, worked hard to win. Hint at retirement plans to leave in Kaduna after 6 months in Laura, his home place. Discloses nation's military ranking has risen from 7th to 4th in Africa. And just below that, Sudan, first batch of Nigerian evacuees arrive country today. Just below the logo of this day, Malami dismisses claims of loss of $2.4 billion from crude oil sale to China. It says it is not true. NEC pushes FD to suspend planned fuel subsidy removal. Let me take the right. This is a proposes supplementary budget amendment to PIA. Nasima, petrol subsidy removal without operation of local refineries will hurt businesses that and shut down small, medium scale enterprises. That's from Nasima.
The Guardian Nigeria this morning, its big story. Nigeria's drug crisis hits 500 billion naira worth of seizures yearly. Just above that, the leading photo there from the 61st Annual General Meeting of the United Bank for Africa. After $800 million palliative, federal government suspends subsidy, cites wrong timing. Below that, APC crisis, Lukman drags Adamu to court over alleged breach of party constitution. Meanwhile, AGF Malami knocks reps, saying claims of illegal 2.4 billion oil sale is false.
Well, let's move to the Punch. It's leading with National Assembly leadership. Tinubu governors dump consensus for zoning. Governors advise Tinubu against endorsing candidates, seek due process. Work with party leadership for principal officers election, Tinubu tells governors. And over 60,000 soldiers recruited under my watch, says President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, the leading picture for the Punch this morning is that of the president and top government officials there, as well as former president and former heads of state. The president in full military regalia there joined the Nigerian Army trooping and presentation of colors parade for the year 2023 at the Eagle Square. Some other stories are recurring on the front page of the Punch this morning. $2.4 billion diversion claims baseless, says AGF. Nigerians rejoice as police go after rogue police. Federal government plans supplementary budget as NEC suspends subsidy removal. This and many more you can find on the front page of the Punch.
Well, on that Punch story, the publicity secretary yesterday sent a statement in saying that APC has nothing yet on zoning.
Indeed.
That's on the Punch story. But the Daily Sun, let's look at what the Daily Sun is saying. The Daily Sun says, Senate President race, Tinubu rejects APC NWC push for South. Insists zoning should be to South. APC senators-elect root for Carlo as Northern Southwest Coalition pushes for Southeast. Just beside the Sun logo, IPOB. Supreme Court grants edges request to file additional grounds in appeal against Kanu. And Malami dismisses alleged claim about loss of $2.4 billion crude oil sale to China. Governors warn Buhari to present new revenue sharing formula to NAS before May 29. Edges suspends fuel subsidy removal. And why Ugwanya worked for my emergence. Mba, the Enugu governor-elect, is saying that 12 bound beyond recognition in just tanker explosion. It's a very sad news.
Some international papers now. The I newspaper. NHS doctors stranded in Sudan after UK refuses airlift. I is reporting that UK residents without British passports are set to be left behind after being barred from airlift.
And the Guardian leads with warnings from the Chief Inspector of Constabulary that the Metropolitan Police could be failing to spot serial killers because it isn't properly investigating unexpected deaths.
The Telegraph. Hugh Grant claims the son ordered burglaries of home. Extraordinary allegation by actor in strongly refuted evidence at Prince Harry hacking hearing. Then Jerry Springer, legendary host of the worst TV show of all time, dies at 79. All right, Emmanuel, got to have you on this Friday. Good morning to you. It's a TGIF. Emmanuel, let's then look at this day. Buhari, overconfidence was the bane of the opposition parties. He said that APC worked hard to win this election and talks about his retirement. He will spend 6 months in Daura, Katsina, his home place, then move on to Kaduna to rest. Let's look at that. And then, of course, the story of the subsidy and is he pushing the federal government to hold subsidy and what do you call it, the Nasima saying no, the ground is not yet well positioned for subsidy to take place.
Well, indeed, this is a very good story and a way of ending the week. Yes, thank God it's Friday. By the way, all of you are looking as if it's Monday. It's not a Friday. You're looking all fresh up. So it means you really had a great weekend. You're going into the weekend. Guess who is having another great weekend ahead of him? The president. The president is talking about his retirement and where he's going after his office. Some people have wondered where he was going to stay. Is he going to stay here? Normally, where the life after the presidency is always an interesting one to look at. What do they do with their lives? Some end up, doing a lot of touring. Obasanjo doesn't stay away, never stayed away. Jonathan became this statesman around the world, talking about elections, talking about how to accept defeat. He became the expert on that around the world, especially because of the way he considered. So Buhari is also looking at those post Villa year, presidency year, where it's going to be, and still showcasing himself as that whole image of a plebeian who loved the countryside. He says he's going to be in Daura, then he will come back to his, a lot of people say, modest home in Kaduna, and then stay out the remaining years he's got. So he's talking about that, not in great details, but the other thing that he's saying in details now is why he thinks his party won. He's gloating, that's the president gloating, talking about the fact that he was able to lead his party to victory. It's always a good one for incumbents when they're able to ensure that their parties, the APC. A lot of people thought that APC would go with Buhari, but here he's talking about the fact that APC has got another 4 years, at least 4 years run ahead of him, and he's saying, and he's even giving the reasons why he think the opposition. I'm sure down the line today, the opposition parties we come up with strong rejection of what President Buhari is saying, that it is overconfidence that killed them. Of course, they went into that election with a lot of confidence. That's because of the records of the APC. APC performed so badly that everyone thought that, look, on just first ballot, any party that put up a strong show will be able to defeat the APC. That's not what happened. A lot of people believe there was a whole lot of collusion, and that this is not the election that is a reflection of the will of the people. We're in courts now to determine that. The whole country is waiting to see how the courts, how the judiciary interprets that election and whether the president was right after all. But for now, Buhari is in his last days, practically counting days. Yesterday, dressed up in those ways. I think there are pictures of him dressed as a military general in full regalia, almost reminiscent of his days as head of state when he was the absolute dictator in charge of the country. Some people say he has not really moved from that mold to the civilian one that he became in the last few years. But of course, the jury is out on that, and a lot of people will be fact-checking on his records in office And as he retires to Kaduna or Daura, wherever he chooses to be, what he will be listening to is what Nigerians are saying about him, his record, what he said. In some states, governors are already, appealing to people, asking for forgiveness. We've not had any form of forgiveness or request for that from this president. Rather, I think he thinks he's doing very well, or he's done very well. Certainly, that he has actually, ensured that his party is forming the next government. I think for him, that is such a huge, huge success, memory that he'll be taking away from him as he retires.
All right, Emmanuel, let's talk about the National Assembly leadership. The Punch is reporting Tinubu, governors dump consensus for zoning, and the Daily Sun says Tinubu rejects APC NWC push for South-South. Emmanuel, how important is it to have every zone accommodated in the power sharing equation?
Well, I think those who make a case for zoning in Kenya are always looking at our plurality as a country and the crisis of unity in this country, the crisis of cohesion, something we've not been able to really, get around in this country. We've tried everything. We've tried federal character. We've tried, the government of national unity. We've tried a reflection. We've even tried power shifts, all to address the problem of unity. The consistent crisis that every shade and opinion, or every ethnic group should be reflected, at least at the very topmost level of power. It is this administration, the APC administration, that have really put paid to that, or actually, caused those issues to be on the front burner, because a lot of people blamed Buhari once again for not being very reflective of the diversity of our country, especially in his appointment and even in the top level of the administration. So people are looking at this administration, in the Tinubu administration, and saying that, look, he should be able to balance those. I think, to answer your question, that's why a lot of people think that, well, some position may have to be deliberately zoned to certain places to reflect the big three, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. But minorities will tell you that, what about them? I'm Jukun from Taraba, for instance. How am I reflected at those top levels? You cannot call me an Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba. And so there are many tribes like that. But to some extent, there's this continuous talk that, well, the three big ones should be reflected. And that's why a lot of people are thinking that for the APC administration, they've zoned the presidency to the south. There's a Yoruba man there. They've got arguably what you would call a Hausa man, though is Kanuri. And that, yes, it should be the southeast should be given a chance to produce the Senate president. I think those are the kind of dominant talk you hear out there. And the stories are suggesting that maybe Tinubu is considering all of that. The individuals say that, well, there's not been any serious talk about zoning already in the party. But some people are saying that maybe for those national colors, like we talk about, the Southeast should be given the position to produce the next Senate president. Some are saying, no, competence is the issue. Now this story is saying that governors are rejecting consensus and they're going for zoning. The party itself is not clear about where they are zoning anything to. And that's why the story in the Sun newspaper is a bit confusing, because the Sun is giving the impression that zoning has happened and that Tinubu is actually also favoring the Southeast. That's what the Sun is reporting. I think that has to be fact-checked further so that we'll know, because this is a paper that has some interest around the person of Odius Okalu being published and all of that. Maybe that's why the Sun is pushing for that. But of course, Odius Okalu's name has been, touted again and again around the issue of the Senate presidency, and he's a major, major front runner for the position. He has said before that, look, he is the best for this position considering what he did for the APC. But I spoke to some APC people yesterday myself who are saying that, look, positions are not just given to people just because of what they've done, that these positions are reserved for people that have actually done well in the elections, places where good votes came for the APC. They might be considering that as a factor in determining who takes what. But I think it's going to the wires now. As we head into the weekend, by next week there should be a closure to who we emerge as leaders in the National Assembly. I think the legislators themselves want to do it their own way. And Tinubu too wants to play President Buhari here. He wants to play the game of President Buhari. We know Buhari is famed to at the time, and he's at his own time saying, look, he's not going to interfere, that the legislature should be able to do it themselves. And that came with a lot of problem, because in the past, the president normally takes those kind of hard decisions and makes it easy for everyone. But Tinubu is playing, walking that path through and saying, let the legislator decide for themselves, and he doesn't want to interfere.
Okay.
Oh, well, just for clarity, APC has yet to zone 10th. This is a statement from APC, the National Publicity Secretary, Felix Mwaka. He says, APC has yet to zone 10th National Assembly leadership positions. The attention of the APC has been drawn to versions of zoning arrangements for the 10th National Assembly leadership positions in circulation in sections of the social media. The information did not emanate from the party and should be disregarded. To be clear, the party has yet to zone positions of leadership of the 10th National Assembly. Any decisions made in that regard will be duly communicated via the party's official information channels. This is coming from the National Publicity Secretary.
So when are they going to do that? Everybody is waiting.
That's what he's just saying.
Okay, so I mean, we'll have people pushing their interest, and we'll have this back and forth until we have, the process itself on the floor of the National Assembly, which we will be watching keenly. I wonder if we have time for one more paper. Yes, the Guardian, Emmanuel Bello, we've seen them focus on major stories as their lead stories in a couple of weeks. Today, they are saying the country is walking on a tightrope of national drug addiction and terrible damage. They're putting a street value to the number of seized drugs in the country. Emmanuel.
Guardian has been doing that back to back. I think it's a way of them setting agendas for the next government, but of course also drawing attention to, they've done stadium, they've done the airlines, the airports, they've done everything. And now they're cycling on a very, very important thing, the drug crisis, illegal drugs around. And I agree with Guardian totally that it's a big story and one that is very worrisome. Not just only because of the amount involved, but because of how deep the problem is apart from of course, the damages in the life of especially young people, drug intake, illegal drug intake. That's serious. The addiction is becoming another thing. So I'm sure this story will be interesting. The NDLA, for instance, we have to take this very seriously. And those parents, teachers, community leaders, everybody has to be involved in the push to rid our society of illegal drugs. And the serious adverse effect, its connection to crime, to all sort of thing, to to the kind of antisocial behavior that you have in the country. So, and this is a problem. What are the roots? Who are the people backing it? Why has it not been nipped in the bud? How deep is the problem? What are the cartels? Who are the backers? Who are the heavy names? I think that's what this kind of story will have to be. It's an ongoing investigation into the very, very strong links between people at the very top with those who are taking their middlemen on the ground. I think it's a serious problem, and I think that's where this story is very important.
Oh, Emmanuel Bello.
Thank you.
I was also going to say, Emmanuel doesn't look like he's retiring to Taraba anytime today, looking all colorful.
Yeah, as we can. It's a Friday.
I'm going to be here
so
for the weekend. I'm going nowhere, just like you guys.
Great.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press review. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV.